Today, we're diving into a plan that could literally reshape India's future. It's called the National Monetisation Pipeline 2.0, and it's this huge strategy to fund trillions of rupees worth of new infrastructure. But how does it all work? And how do you do it without just selling off national treasures? Well, let's break it down. So, where are we getting this info? We're going straight to the source. This is the official blueprint put together by NITI Aayog and a bunch of government ministries. So you know this isn't just some political talking point, it's a really detailed multi-year strategy, and we're going to see exactly what's inside.
You know, it really is the multi-trillion-dollar question that every growing country on Earth has to face. Building the future, we're talking new roads, new ports, entire power grids. It takes a staggering amount of money. So where on Earth does that capital come from? Well, India's answer lies in this strategy called asset monetization.
Okay, so let's get right to the core idea. What is asset monetization? And right away, let's be super clear about the biggest misconception out there. This is not about selling off the country's assets.
The official language says it's a way to unlock value from public assets and then reinvest that money into new ones. So think of it like this: making the infrastructure we already have, like highways and pipelines, work smarter to generate funds for brand new projects. The trick, of course, is how you unlock all that value without actually selling anything.
You know, here's a really simple way to think about it. Imagine the nation's infrastructure is a huge family house. You're not selling the house, no way. Instead, you're just leasing out a few rooms that maybe you're not using to their full potential. Then you take that rent money and use it to build a brand new, super modern extension to the house. The most important part, the original house always remains yours.
But look, this plan isn't just about balancing budgets or finding clever ways to raise money. It's actually a really critical piece of a much larger puzzle, a long-term vision for what India is going to look like in the decades ahead.
And as the NITI Aayog report itself states, NMP 2.0 is directly tied to the Viksit Bharat at 2047 goal. That's the vision for a developed India by its 100th year of independence. So this isn't just about finance, it's about literally building the physical foundation for that future.
So, what are the specific goals here? What's this all supposed to achieve? At its heart, the NMP aims to kickstart what the government calls a virtuous cycle. Basically, a self-sustaining engine for economic growth. Let's take a look at how that engine is supposed to work. So this cycle is really the engine of the entire plan, and it's designed to be a continuous loop. It all starts by leasing existing assets to the private sector. That brings in not just money, but also their expertise and efficiency. Now that money isn't just put away, it's immediately reinvested into building new infrastructure. The whole idea is that better roads, better ports, and better power grids ultimately improve life for everyone, and in turn, create even more valuable national assets, which can then fuel the cycle all over again. All right, we've talked about the concept, we've talked about the goals, but just how big is this pipeline? Let's look at the numbers behind the vision, because honestly, they're pretty staggering. Here is the headline number, 16.72 lakh crore rupees. Just let that sink in for a moment. To put that in perspective, in US dollars, that's over 200 billion. This is not some small budget adjustment. It's a colossal injection of private capital aimed directly at building the country's core infrastructure. And this isn't some far-off dream either. The plan is grounded in a very clear 5-year timeline. It's targeting this massive effort between 2026 and 2030. So it's a really focused, medium-term sprint. The scope here is just vast. It stretches across 12 key sectors of the economy. So we're not just talking about roads and railways here. The plan takes a much more comprehensive approach. And this really gives you a sense of where that money is expected to come from. We're talking about the fundamental arteries of the Indian economy. The highways we all drive on, the railways that move goods across the country, the power lines that light up our homes, and the ports that connect India to the entire world. These are the core revenue-generating assets that are absolutely central to the whole plan.
Okay, so we have the what and the how. But let's get to the most important part, the why. Why does a plan like this actually matter for the average person and for the country's future as a whole? You know, when you boil it all down, this is about changing the very model of how infrastructure gets funded. The goal is to move away from relying only on annual government budgets and instead create this self-perpetuating system where today's assets directly pay for tomorrow's growth. It's a fundamental shift, really, towards a more sustainable engine for development.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is stated explicitly right in the union budget. The mission is to plow back capital in new projects.
That phrase really says it all. The central goal here is creation and growth, and it's being funded by smartly managing what we already have.
So, the National Monetization Pipeline. It's a pretty audacious answer to a huge economic challenge. How do you build for the future while still retaining public ownership and harnessing private efficiency? And this, of course, raises the big question. If this actually works, if it succeeds, could this be the blueprint for sustainable infrastructure financing, not just for India, but for growing economies all over the world?
If you found this breakdown useful, be sure to like this and subscribe for more deep dives just like this one. What are your thoughts on the NMP? Do you think this is the right approach? Drop them in the comments below. We genuinely love to hear from you.